Hey there. Welcome back to my Conversations with No One, where I attempt to share a little bit about the experience of what it's actually like to be living in a somewhat non-dual state, not as a belief system or philosophy or teaching, but actually experiencing it on a day-to-day basis. This is another in my series of conversations about the consequences of non-duality, and one of the major consequences is very much a two-edged sword, as it were. And that's the letting go of our perceived needs and desires. When duality is all we know, we identify so strongly with our desires that the thought of not having them feels equivalent to losing our humanity. We can't imagine a world worth living in where we have no desire for romantic love, no desire for sex, and no desire to make something of ourselves. We define ourselves by the things we desire and only find value in life when we're pursuing those things. And we feel that way because we believe deep in the core of our ego that we'll never accomplish anything worthwhile if we don't actively pursue our desires. After all, everyone we admire and everyone we want to be like has succeeded in this in our eyes. Everything amazing that humanity has ever accomplished is because of our burning desire to make something of our lives. I would even go so far as to say that this desire is a necessary component. Hey guys, you want to keep it down a bit? I'm filming over here. Thanks. So as I was saying, everything amazing that humanity has ever accomplished is because of our burning desire to make something of our lives. And I'd even go so far as to say this desire is a necessary component to thriving in the duality experience. If everyone reached a state of non-duality at the same time, well, I'm pretty sure structured civilization as we know it would quickly fall apart. This is where most seekers of non-duality falter. The state of seeking becomes just another desire to be pursued, another goal outside of themselves to be achieved. The irony is that identifying with our desires just reinforces our ego and our attachment to our character. The person who is seeking can never experience a state of non-duality, because non-duality is a state where that person doesn't exist. Most seekers want to remain themselves, but reach a stage where that self feels enlightened, which to me is simply replacing one illusionary state for another, one illusionary story for another. So, why would anyone actively want to lose their desire? Why would you want to give up those things that make you feel alive and vibrant? I find most people don't, and and that's okay. Non-duality isn't a state that should be put up on a pedestal of human achievement, and it's not an experience everyone needs to have. It's, at its simplest, just a state that some people reach as they continue letting go of their attachment to their character. Letting go of that attachment as the only experience of reality. I I don't really believe it's possible to simply transcend our desires through willpower and practice. It feels more like something that simply disappears once the paradigm between duality and non-duality shifts. At least that's how it happened for me. Looking back on my life, I find it hard to believe that I led most of it as a tortured ball of conflicting wants and needs, pulling me in all directions at virtually every moment. It feels sort of, if I can use a metaphor, like I suffered from an acute case of itchy hives. And I was so used to having my whole body covered in hives that I never noticed. I thought it was normal. I picture myself now in my head walking around constantly scratching at my itches, desperate to get just a moment of relief. But as soon as I scratch one, instantly moving on to scratch the next one, and the next one, and the next one, only to have the first one come back twice as itchy as before. When all of that itchiness went away, I was left in a state of profound peace, a huge amount of relief. But to be clear, I'm not saying that I live now in a state where there is no desire. I still have wants and needs just like everyone else. But what changed is my relationship with those things and their control over me and my emotional well-being. What changed was I no longer identify with those desires. So to use another metaphor, I don't feel like I'm starving all the time. Starving and scrambling for scraps of food that aren't fulfilling. I still enjoy eating and still have my preferences of what I want to eat, but I don't suffer any longer when I don't. It's like I'm at a buffet now and I'm free to choose to eat or not eat whatever life brings me. And I'm more able to appreciate whatever that might be. Okay, to keep mixing metaphors, it's sort of like being at a dessert table after a satisfying meal. I don't need dessert, but if I have some room and they have something I like, then awesome. If not, well, I haven't really lost a thing. I'm not saying that this state is better or worse, but I am saying it's a state of peace. And now everything I do accomplish is just like that cherry on top of a dessert. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by, joining me and all my new duck friends. Have a great day.